Excited to have you here, have you all tuning in. As this episode, I want to dive deep into something that has been requested often about values and money. I talked a little bit about it in my TikTok reel, in my Instagram reel, and it kind of spiked some interest. So I thought, why not go a little deeper when it comes into the aspect of understanding your values, knowing how to figure that out, and then also when it comes to money, how to level that up because of your values. Cool? So let's go ahead, let's dive in, and let's get started here. So when we look at coming up to your life and aspects of value, I can make this so simple. There's other things we can do, but this is the most simplistic thing I can think of. And that is, your values are determined by two things, right? So it's only two things in the world that they're determined by. What you put your time or energy to, and where do you spend your money. That's it. There's nothing else more extravagant than that. And so when you think about this for a second, when you do this kind of work, you want to really be honest with yourself. Like really take an inventory, but be authentically honest. There's no one judging you. There's no one around who's going to give you some report of saying how horrible you are at something. This is just you and you. And sometimes that can be the most scariest thing in the world. But what you want to do is you want to just take a quick inventory of the last week or the last month, if you really want to go deep into this, of where you've been spending your time, right? Are you spending more time on social media, looking at TikTok? Are you looking at watching more Netflix shows, binging on different shows every single night? You have to watch 5, 6, 7 of them. Are you reading more? Are you tuning into more podcasts? Are you watching videos? Like, what are the things that you are doing on a daily basis that's going to help you level up in some way, shape, or form? And so when you're spending your time, that's going to determine the things you value. Because here is a scientific proof or truth, and that is you only find time for what you value. Okay? You only find time for what you value. You will always have endless time for that. Anything else, you're not going to find time. And another way, I used to share this before. If you don't want to know what you value, just take a to-do list of at least like 10 different things. And the things that you always get done, that's your value list. The things that you always end up missing, those are the things you don't value. And I used to teach this in business principles because I work with clients and I want them to focus their energy on what they value, because if they focus on the things they value more and they do more of that, they create more of the life they want, because you're putting energy to things and it helps maximize and all these wonderful things. Okay. So that's where that perspective comes from. The second is where you spend your money. It's the most easiest thing in the world. Take a look at your credit card statement for the last few months. Take a look at your bank statements for the last few months. And you can just look and see wherever you're spending your money there, that is where you're spending that's where you value. And it can be, and you may look and go, oh man, I don't know. I didn't like the things I've been buying. Well, that's what you've been putting your energy to. That's what you value at this moment. And again, there's no one here to judge you. There's no one there to judge you. It's just you and you. And so this is a way that you can go ahead and really take a look at your life to understand this. Now, this is powerful because here's the thing. You can change your values. You can course correct. If you don't pay attention to what you're putting your energy and your time to, what ends up happening is you're going to be putting energy to things that you don't really want, or things that don't really fulfill you, or things that you're going into distractions which don't allow you to achieve more of your dream life or more fulfilled life, or the things that really, really matter to you. Does that make sense? And so when you're thinking about this, though, sometimes when I share value systems and talk or values and who values what, like in relationships, the values are usually never the same. They're usually the opposite. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the two people come together to complete things, right? And so like in traditional type setups, or just in relationships in general, it doesn't have to be traditional. You'll always have someone who's more financial focused, and you'll always have someone who isn't financial focused, right? Usually, the financial focused person, there's their main value. It's all about security, always making sure that there's money coming in and they're securing all that. The opposite usually cares more about like the family or the structure of the life or different things of the house or something along those lines. And so we usually in the relationships or in marriage, what ends up happening is sometimes one person who's more family focused may say, well, you don't care about the family. All you care about is money, and all you care about is, working, and all you want to do is continue to work. But in their value system, it's all about finances to help secure, to keep what they have, right? It's kind of like a protective mechanism. And so it's not that they don't value family. It's just they make sure these things are taken care of, take a precedent over the other things. right? But sometimes we can look at that and say, well, you value this and you value that. And it's like, oh, well, I don't know why you don't value this stuff. And at the end of the day, it's not negative, positive. It's just the way their systems are developed. And there's no two people in the world that have the same value system. Poly-exclusion principle states there's no two things in the world that have this, no two humans in the world have the same value system. Actually, it states there are no two identical things in the entire universe. And so that's powerful. And for you to understand that principle, understand how that works, that's a game changer, right? But I talked about money at the end, so I want to make sure I emphasize on this. So we talked about where you spend your time, what you put your energy, right? You got your values. I'm going to give you some things that you can do, action steps afterwards. Then you have the middle part, right? It's just understanding, don't judge, because everyone has their own shopping list. That's why a lot of people, when it comes to people coming together or liking somebody, you're liking them because your shopping list usually aligns to your values. Then you have, well, how does money play a role when it comes to my life? Well, you have to understand that money, if you value it to what it does for you, you'll have more of it. Because again, you always find time for what you value. You'll always find time for money for what you value, right? So can you grow more money? Can you expand exponentially with money? Absolutely. And it all comes down if you value money or not. Now, what does that look like? There are people in the world that will save rather than go in debt. They'll save then pay off their debt. So they rather accumulate savings than to pay off their debt. And these are individuals that exist, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is not financial advice saying that's something I would do or recommend, but there are people that will do that. And the reason why is because it all comes back down to their value system. And so if they value money and they want to accumulate more, they'll do that. Some people say, I value money so much that I want to put it in investments. I want to invest in myself, maybe investing in a stock, cryptocurrency, maybe investing into a business, whatever that may be. And they want to level that up. Some people, will do, I can go on and on with this. But at the end of the day, it's your value system and how you look at things. And so when you're looking at, if you value money, you'll have more money. If you don't value money, you're not going to. And what's going to happen for those who don't value money is you're always going to be spending on things that you don't need. You're going to be spending on pointless stuff or wasting money on stuff that you can save tons of it by doing it on your own in some way, shape, or form. I still get fascinated to this day on how many people go get a cup of coffee that's like $5. I just don't understand that. In my world, I do not understand that. I'll be very transparent. If I'm on vacation, I like to go get a cup of coffee. I'm on vacation. If I'm writing a book, I have to go to coffee shops. I don't really need to. It's just, it lets me escape, and I can for some reason, I've written 3 books now. It is one of those things that it's just my place to go to. But it fascinates me, though. Other than that, I'm always drinking coffee at home. If I have coffee, I do eat decaf for the most part. But what I just don't understand the concept. And I used to do this for patients years ago in my office, where if they say they couldn't afford care or it was just slightly off from what the care plan was for the cost, cost per month, I tell them, you go shopping you go get coffee? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? I'm just curious. And they'll be like, yeah, I go to Starbucks, I go to Starbs or whatever, however that phrase is nowadays. And I was like, well, how much you averagely spend? Oh, only about $5, a day. I said, okay, that's $150 a month. They're like, well, I don't go every single day. Okay, what do you do? About 4 to 5 days a week. Okay, still that's $80 a month minimum. And you can see how much it adds up, right? And so my whole thing is, right, value systems. One, I value health to the T. So if I'm having coffee, I want it to be organic. I want it to be mycotoxin free, proven, independent lab study given to me so I can see it. Organic, high elevation rows, wet hauled, the whole 9 yards, right? This coffee's not cheap. And so that's number one. Number two then is if I'm going to be saving money, I want to have the quality of it. So I get the health quality and I'm saving money on the top of it because I can go spend more for my coffee. I think a 2.2 pound bag is like $30. So I pay like $15, $16 a pound for the coffee I drink. But how much do I get out of a pound, right? There's multiple cups in that pound. And so you can see how much I'm saving money. That's my value system. And so I'm getting 2 things out of that. Saving money, right? Because I value money. The other thing I value is my health. And so I'm benefiting my health because most coffee places aren't organic. Some are that I may go to, but then they don't have all the other criteria that I recommend. And if I do go for that coffee, which some coffee places do offer that criteria, it's like $11 a cup of coffee. Just way too much for me. So that is things when you look at when it comes to your life and what you're trying to accomplish, understand that your value systems dictate a lot of that. So here's my thing for you guys. So if you really want to level up, if you really want to do this work, not just listen to another podcast and check off the mark, I'm talking really, really do this work and make some changes in your life. Number one, look at the last month of where you've been spending your time. You can go as minimum as a week, right? Just look at where you've been spending your time and energy at. Second, look at where you've been spending your money. Do the last 3 months of bank statements. It's pretty easy. Just skim through them and you just write a note down of how much you spent here, there, or here. What's important, what's your priorities, right? What are the things you have to cover? And then what are the things that are just extras? Indisposable income, in other words. And so then you look at those kind of two things and you can go from there. And then the last is take a look at your bank account, and that'll give you also an understanding of how much you really are focusing centric on money, how much you value money, how much you are really having that relationship with it. If you check out my Instagram today, and TikTok, I did a reel on this where I talk about the reason where your bank account is and why it's not growing, why it's not expanding, is because your relationship with it. This is a whole nother podcast episode on that, which I may do in the near future here. But that's what I got for you guys today. So get to work, be authentic with yourself, and also be transparent and truthful, because at the end of the day, no one's judging you. It's just really just a tool or an exercise to help you just be more aware. That's the purpose of this. So the more awareness you have, the more you can level up and do what you do and love what you do. So appreciate you guys as always. Until next time, keep rocking and rolling.